Hello, and welcome to another episode of Twin Peeps. I'm Tom Bennis,
I am Kimber Barrett.
and we're your hosts this evening to discuss Part 7, There's a Body, All Right, of the Twin Peaks return. Real quick, as always, I want to give a quick shout out to everyone who's in the chat right now. We got our good friends Joe and Ashley Davis, another good friend Cal, and somebody new to the table, Paul Holmes. And if you're not new to the table, Paul Holmes, and I just forgot, I apologize. I've made a fool of myself. Anyway, overall, how was this one? Like so far, like compared to the others we've seen.
I mean, it's hard for me to say anything bad about this show. We've also been doing another show, and I find this one a relief that I've been enjoying it so much because the other one was kind of stressing everyone out, I think, a little bit towards the end.
Oh, what, American Gods?
Yeah, this show is great, though. It's heading in the direction, I think, that I want it to go. Slowly but surely. There was definitely lots of information in this episode.
What was nice was there wasn't a lot of jumping around in this episode. We kind of got, and like with some shows that might like get boring, you know what I mean, because you're going through like the whole arc there, but they, he was able to figure out a way to keep it interesting throughout, which
Ashley liked it a lot. I see her in the chat there.
Yeah, one of the best. I mean, I definitely like the weirder ones. And hi Tina, hi Corey. It was definitely, I like the weirder ones, and the end of this one really like kind of sunk me in where I'm getting excited because, as everyone knows, I just want my agent back, and we saw a quick little glimpse ago. Okay, your name was familiar, Paul. A Screen Junkies community, right, on Twitter. Okay, thanks for coming back, man. Welcome. Anyway, let's take it from the top. Jerry.
We start out with Jerry, who seems to be lost in a forest. He calls Ben on the phone and says somebody stole his car. And he's like, somebody stole your car? And he's like, you say the same thing. I think I'm high. I don't know where I am.
Okay. Now, this is funny. We didn't think about this again at the end of the episode, but this is a theme that comes back up later on in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So this is interesting. I didn't think about this. So maybe Jerry's having a clairvoyant.
Tina says he's got some good weed.
Weed. There's nothing involved. Yeah, but maybe it's so good that it gave him some kind of clairvoyant ability. I don't know.
You know the forest can get weird out in that area.
See,
as well.
What I thought was happening at first was the name of the episode is "There's a Body, All Right," and so for sure I thought some kind of Laura Palmer thing was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I thought he was like reacting to something in the forest.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of, in this episode especially, they did a lot of just single shot, and they let it just kind of roll, especially in that bar scene later, and we'll talk about it again.
Yeah.
But
it had some tension. I see Joe and Ashley were saying they were worried for good old Jerry. They were concerned.
Yeah, something. I thought he was going through some kind of anguish for sure, and his phone call was hilarious to Ben.
Tina says maybe he's on that sparkle drug that Becky and Steven were taking.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of take him as just a
weed man.
Just a weed man. Like he reminds me so much of like Chung, like Cheech and Chung.
Yeah.
Like he's not that like enthusiastic, but
he reminds me of some people I've met around here because we live in like the area near where Woodstock went down.
1969,
and there are some old potheads in this area that kind of have the same vibe as Jerry.
Potheads and bikers, and that's not to say they're not the same thing.
So next we move over to the sheriff's department, and we see Hawk is showing Sheriff Truman the note that he found in the door of the bathroom last episode. And it's a note from Laura Palmer's diary that Tom recognized from Fire Walk With Me.
Well, yes, and I have to say thank you, Tina. Right away when I saw the pages, and she confirmed this because she brought it up last week that maybe it's the pages and stuff like this. Now, right one away, I was like, oh yeah, no, she called it totally.
She's been on point with a lot of her guesses too.
And then we find out it's not. There's 4 pages missing when they're talking about, are you sure it's from the diary? And he's like, yeah, we looked through the book. There's 4 pages ripped out. These are 3 of the pages.
Yeah. So
And
one is still missing.
Yes. And it's interesting how and there's definitely some like throwbacks, like they bring up the agoraphobic guy. I'm horrible with names if you haven't guessed, and this show has so many people that I'm going crazy. She named, well, who was it? Albert. She's like, what's his name? And I named like everyone else in the show.
Yeah. But it was a message that Annie had given Laura in a dream sequence.
Yes, in fact, this was the dream sequence. If you remember in Fire Walk with Me, exactly. Joe just brought up in the chat. You see Annie like bleeding on the floor. She pops up and she warns Laura about this. And as we know, the lodge doesn't deal with like time and space as we understand it.
Yeah.
So although she was in the future, she was still able to send back a warning. Which is interesting. I like supernatural time travel.
Yeah.
As opposed to like making a machine to do it.
For sure. And then we see, was it the other side of the page they flipped over, or was it one of the other pages where it had
I think it was like the last page on the back.
Because it said, I know it isn't Bob, I know who it is, which led them to think that Leland might have hid these pages when he was in being questioned about stuff with the Laura Palmer situation. What do you think?
Yeah, well, it was odd because maybe I'm just not used to things going smoothly in like these kind of scenes where people like bring up evidence and there's some guy who's like, oh, well, that would have never happened or blah, blah, blah. Like, this Sheriff Truman is very like, and not to say the other one wasn't. In fact, Ashley brought up it's really nice how they're trying to incorporate.
Joe disagrees. He says he's frustrated with that, but
really,
yeah.
Well, it's interesting that like he just goes along with it, like. But I guess he's been there his whole life. He understands Twin Peaks can be weird.
Yeah.
But he's just like, so this happened, and then this happened, and then that happened. Okay. I guess Chad's that guy, and I'm glad he wasn't in this scene.
And then they're kind of examining this letter and what it says, and they're like, well, it says the good Cooper is in the lodge, but he came out when we, found them that day in the woods. So if it wasn't the good Cooper, then who came out of the lodge?
I have an idea.
What?
It was Bad Cooper.
Well, yeah, they don't know that. And then he does have that conversation with Harry on the phone. He tells him to beat this thing again, alluding to that he's very sick with cancer or something.
Yeah, and it sounded like he got moved, and the way, like, just from my like experience in my like field at work, it seemed like they were moving him to some kind of hospice. Like that was kind of his reaction. He was just kind of like, oh, like, yes, Joe, Doppel Cooper, TM, Tom Bennis. But yeah, it's impactful. Some of these little scenes that aren't even like, it's cool to play off of like 25 years of history.
Yeah.
And be able to like have these, it's the same thing like with Force Awakens with some of the scenes, just having these characters come back, and even if they have the tiniest little scene, it just adds so much to their character.
I'm gonna say I side with Joe on this one. Like, I don't think they need to do that. Every time they do that, it just reminds me like, oh yeah, he's not in the show, he's not doing it. And it feels very like he's just talking into a phone and no one's there. But it doesn't bother me.
I will say it doesn't help because he's talking to his brother and you can't hear anything on the other side of his phone.
Sometimes you can hear the other people.
The other people you can. Now, I don't think David Lynch looked over that. Maybe Truman's too weak to really have a presence on the phone, and you get a little, you know what I mean? Like maybe he's thinking about, he literally is the sound like overseer for the show, so I don't think he would have overlooked that. He's kind of perfectionist.
I like what Tina's saying there, but I'm going to get to that a little later. The next scene we see is a really quick one. We see Andy, and he's talking to this long-haired, bearded man, and he like wants to question him, but the guy's like, you got to get out of here right now. So he makes plans to meet up with him later. Did you have any?
Yeah, this guy was weird. He seemed like scared that he would be caught talking with a cop.
Yeah.
But he also looked like he was hiding something too. Like the moment Andy turned his back, then he was like, okay, now I got to move or something like that.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like he was. I didn't trust him from the beginning, but I don't think he was supposed to come off as trustworthy.
So then the next thing we go to is Sheriff Truman calls the doctor and he asks him if he knows about Skype. He pulls a switch and his computer pops up
Why does
like
he have
into the desk. It's like the
desk
coolest.
in the world? Because it was funny because they said, "Oh, have you used Skype?" And I'm like, because I don't think they're getting like that Skype money because they already have like the Stars budget. I think they're just trying to like poke at the times. But I'm scared it's gonna
Well,
date it later
yeah.
on. But at the same time, the old show is so dated that I love it.
I thought it was kind of cute because it felt like that scene where she doesn't like still understand cell phones and stuff. It's
But
just
he's
still
still like
showing
on top
you.
of it. Like he's kind of like old school meets new school because yes, he has a cool ass desk, but it's wood grain.
Yeah. And so the computer pops up and he gives the doctor a call on Skype. And he asks him that when he examined Cooper when he got out of the lodge. And I think he said something along the lines of, like, I can't remember what I ate for breakfast, but I can remember that.
And he said it so slow where he was like, "Oh, I can't remember what I had for breakfast." And then you're like, "Oh no." So he doesn't remember. But then like he was like, "Bye."
Yeah.
And the delivery in the show is so good.
And he says that he was acting mighty strange. He said he saw him sneaking out. He had a strange face on, and he turned towards him and he tried to like signal him, and he really didn't get much of a response from him. He just kind of walked away. And he thought he was checking on Audrey Horne, who was in a coma, they said. And Tina was in the chat saying that she thinks that he might have been sneaking over to Audrey to get the ring. Is that what she was saying in the chat?
Oh, did Audrey have the ring at the time? I don't remember that.
She knows things we don't know.
Tina, did Audrey have the ring? Because I don't know. Here's the thing about Coop, and this is why I love him so much. He is like he has a very high moral ground, like, and you see that with Audrey. Like he's like, look, like this is not appropriate. Like,
yeah.
She's naked in his bed, and like she was young for the show and young for him, but like she looks like a woman.
Hot,
yeah. And he's like, nope, like this is my thing. I have a code, blah blah blah. And so, what would the like bizarro version of?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he might take advantage of that as opposed. And we already know that he might have done the same to another woman in Cooper's life.
We'll get there.
So, I'm worried about Audrey.
It was nice to hear them start talking about her though, because that did lead me to believe that they're going to bring her into the show soon. And I know a lot of people, myself included, have been really looking forward to see her because she is in fact my favorite character from the original series. I have a pop vinyl of her right there. It's the only Twin Peaks one we have so far, because I love Audrey. Talk a little bit about fishing and breakfast before they hang up the Skype call.
Yeah, it's
like
and
a
it's
winds
funny
down. You don't want him to like feel like he only called.
It's like Truman.
Something.
Yeah, it's like Truman. Now, because looking back on the Michael Wally and him, when he does that whole, like, may your way the road always reach your tires. Like, it seems like he's always trying to do this cool cowboy sign off, and that's fine by me. Like, it's like he's just trying to like get his like trademark. I forgot what he said, but he was like, "May you always stand on the sunny side of the river." Like it was some kind of like proverb. He always like signs off with like it's like a CB radio.
I think he's just like a nice guy.
I love him.
Like obviously he has the patience of a saint, dealing with how his marital situation is at the moment. Annie came by. Yeah, Annie had the ring when she came out of the lodge. Doppel Cooper needed the ring to stay out of the lodge.
But if Doppel Cooper had the ring, how did Dougie get? Well, I'm sure we'll get to there somehow.
Okay, next we see Lieutenant Knox, who wants to verify the source of the fingerprints that they've been talking about, and she's told that they're off the body, which piques her interest. And we found out previously that these fingerprints had been like government stopped.
Yeah, they're like highly classified, like and they flagged like multiple times.
So she wants to see the body, and that's when they say there's a body, all right, which is the title of the episode.
Tina said that Mr. C made Dougie.
I feel like she's understanding
I need
things
to have
on
this
a much more. Yeah.
Oh, so maybe they would go after him instead of Mr. C. That kind of makes sense. I didn't realize that. Okay.
So then they go to look at the body. She sees that he is decapitated. Where's the rest of them? We don't know. And she starts asking, like, how old is this person's body? When did they die? They say he's in the mid 40s, I believe. Happened 5 to 6 days ago. And they want to know who it is. Like, it would sure help our investigation if we knew who this was.
I called it.
And yeah, she goes to call the colonel, and
yeah.
It's confirmed what Tom's guess was, that it is in fact Major Briggs's body, but she says that he's the wrong age.
Yeah, and as we know, the Black Lodge and the things around it do work weirdly with time and space. And I would like to note that the body was headless, and the last time we saw the head was in a Black Lodge like place when he was like Blue Rose, that head that was floating.
Yeah, and they said that he should be in his 70s, so we're looking around the time period of when the first series is set, is like he would have been in his 40s, like the body is. You know what I'm saying? So then we see a man like kind of ominously lurking in the background. And they told them no one else gets access to this body, that type of thing, on her way out.
So with that guy in that building, do you think something's going to happen with that body?
I mean, it certainly seems like he was up to no good. Or
I wish we got a closer look at him. Yeah, because the room key connects that story.
Yeah.
I'm expecting, well, we'll get there, but I'm expecting them to cross paths soon enough.
So then we see Gordon whistling, and he gets a knock at the door, and Albert comes in and talks to him about his meeting with Diane. Diane is having none of this. The second he mentioned Cooper, she was like, no fucking way. So he basically asked Gordon, like, you go talk to her. And Gordon's like, will you go with me? And he's like, only if you say please. And he like makes him say please.
Yeah, he pretends like he doesn't hear him, which was great. But like he's like, come on, I'm not. It's pretty good. And again, like the next thing, boom, they're on a plane. Or no, boom, they're over at.
They go to Diane's, right? Yeah.
And then they go up afterwards.
He knocks on the door, and a guy answers, and he's like, FBI champ, friends of Diane. I wrote it down because I thought it was perfect. Gordon, the guy lets him in. He looks like he's on his way out. And she basically comes in and instantly sees them and is pissed. I'm just going to say the same thing to you that I said to him. Fuck you, Gordon. Fuck you, Albert. There's a lot of like, fuck you. She gives it to pretty much almost every character that she runs into.
She's almost Audrey level from American Gods. Like with her venomous like lashes.
And so they tell her that Cooper is in jail, and she says good. And this is when we start to get the feeling that maybe Doppel Cooper did something horrible to her.
Yeah, right away.
Gordon says that she's a tough cookie, and she always has been. And he basically asked her, like, we need somebody who knows Cooper really well to just go talk to him and tell us what you think. So then they hop on the plane.
Female agent's name, do you remember?
Tammy?
Tammy. That's it. There you go, Joe. Try to beat Tina to it. So then they go right to the plane, right?
Yeah, and they have that conversation about the fingerprints being backwards, which you also...
Yeah, Cal also, we were talking about it last week. We both thought, or when we saw the fingerprints, we both thought there was something up. But it was funny because they weren't reversed, that somebody altered them and flipped them to look reversed, which is weird.
No, they were reversed. Someone flipped them so they would look like they match.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm sorry.
And then Gordon does that thing where he like squeezes her fingers and says the...
Yeah, he
called it spiritual finger.
Yeah, he's like laying, because like each finger is kind of like a certain like tether to like spiritual energy, and so he gave a lot of things, and I can't remember what they were, but
I can't write as fast as they talk. I try my best.
But it was cute. For a second, I was like, "What's he doing?" Like because Mulder's character, was like, yo, don't mess around with Tammy, blah blah blah, and he's like, she's a fine agent, blah blah, don't question my motives, and then he's just like there playing with her hands. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then he was like, and this is this, and I'm like, oh, okay, you're just quirky. You've always been quirky. I remember when he was doing the poems.
Yeah.
Back in the old season.
I think it's funny that you called Denise Mulder's character, because that's not even the actor's name. It's just a different character.
See, this is how bad I am with names. I just go face association.
So then they see the picture of Doppelkoop, which they say is the only picture that they have of Cooper.
Which is very like GQ.
In like the last 25 years, yeah. And they say this is the man that we met in prison. And then we're at prison. She says she's going to go in 10 minutes tops. She throws a fuck you at Tammy. And she enters the room. They tell her she's in control of the curtain.
And the microphone.
She can leave anytime. She looks super nervous and uncomfortable from the moment she gets in there. The curtain rolls up, and he says, I knew it was going to be you. She says, when did we see each other last? And he's like, are you upset with me? And she seems very upset with him, yeah. And he's like, at your house, which we're starting to really get a heavy vibe of very horrible things that might have happened to her. And she asks him, who are you? And he says, I don't know what you mean. And then she just kind of shouts, look at me at him.
I also, like, we talked about this before. I think you're right about the contacts, because his eyes definitely just look empty.
Look like black eyes,
and I think she even, like, talks about that later, just nothing. Like, he just looks like a void.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, let me see what I have.
Or at least lighting. They're doing something.
Yeah, so she decides to roll the curtain down, and then she goes and, she talked to Albert, or did she talk to Gordon? Because Gordon went to the warden and like thanked him and told them to hold on to him.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Cal brought up the voice thing because we were talking about how his voice is different. I have a theory on this. So when he's talking like to the warden or to anyone else face to face, his voice is regular. He talks a little weird and it's a little deeper, but when he's talking through the mic, it's like super modulated. And I think maybe it's just because like we've already seen what that like the lodge energy, how it reacts to like electricity and stuff like that, and how it's like a conduit. So I'm wondering if that's like getting feedback of like some kind of like
but
supernatural
Joe's saying,
backlash.
Like, again, I'm with Joe. It's also like the cadence and the delivery of what he's saying.
But when it's coming through the microphone, it's definitely distorted.
I think he's just getting worse since
but we see him talk to Warden afterwards, which is where we left off. I cut you off. My bad.
Yeah, well, next is she has that discussion. She says there isn't something here. Like that's not the man that I knew. And she's crying, man. Like gets upset. It's upsetting to watch. She's definitely like had some bad stuff happen to her, and even asks her like what happened on that day, and she's like, we'll have a talk about that sometime. And then she chugs like a little thing of booze and says
throughout, yeah,
to the FBI.
Yeah, she great perform. Like again, all the performances have been great in one way or in another.
So then they're putting Doppelcooper back in his cell, and he says, I have a message for the warden. And at first the guy's kind of like, yeah, whatever. And he's like, no, tell him I need to see him at his office about a strawberry. And then we go back to Andy. Poor guy's waiting for this meetup. Never happens. He gives up and he drives away. And we see Doppelcooper in the warden's office. And instantly it's sketchy. The warden's like, I turned off the security cameras. You can speak. We can speak freely here. And everything they say is pretty cryptic. But he says the dog leg, like.
Well, they found a dog leg in his trunk.
Yeah, and he says like dogs have 4 legs. There are 3 other legs that I sent out to people, and basically kind of like if anything bad happens to me, then remember the dog legs. And he doesn't really believe him, and he starts talking about McCluskey, and that gets the warden's attention. And he asks for basically a car. He wants to get let out. He wants Raymond Rowe and a friend in the glove compartment. And he says he wants to go out at 1 a.m. tonight. And if he lets him out, no one's going to hear about McCluskey or the strawberry. So what do you think?
I mean, he obviously planned for this, which is kind of cool. I kind of was bummed when he got caught. And because, like, while I want Agent Cooper to come back and take the mantle back of the real Mr. C, I'm also interested to see what this guy is so capable of, because in the first episode, like the first two parts, we saw him like he was a badass. He took off that guy right away on the step. I want to see him kind of do that. And we got to see a little bit more of action from Cooper this episode. And it's funny because when I say this, I reflect back on the old series, and it wasn't really known for its action, but they're doing it like really well.
Yeah.
In the series, that's not like obvious. So that's what I think.
Next we see good old Dougie at work, and the dude is in his office, and you said that was the guy who did the paperwork or whatever that was.
That's the guy who covered for him when he was missing for a few days,
Mhm.
and then he called him a liar, and then so
Okay,
that's the guy's,
that
and then
guy.
they're going through all the paperwork.
And he's like, "Is there a reason you're not talking to me?" He asked why he was in the boss's office, like what was up with those files. And the secretary comes in and says that the police are here to see Dougie. And she kind of goes like this to get him to walk out to see the police, and he like does the same thing. So she ends up bringing the police to him. And they tell him, or they ask him about his car, like has he reported it stolen? They start on with questions like this, but they kind of get interrupted by Dougie's wife, and it was a little distracting. But the like lead cop was Champ Kind from
Yeah,
Anchorman.
I was trying to remember what his catchphrase was.
Whammy!
Whammy! That's what it was. I was gonna write it in the chat.
His wife comes in and she kind of interrupts and starts answering the questions for them and gets real sassy with the cops, man. Like, what do you think?
I don't like. I think she means well. Like, obviously, the real Dougie put her through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And I think she's doing her best to keep the family together. But at the same time, she's not taking the time to like. And granted, we didn't see much of Dougie before all this, but there was no way Dougie acted this strange before.
Yeah.
Like, how come he's still like? I know they said, "Oh, we're going to bring you to the doctor," but we could have gone to the doctor this episode. Like, come on, like, okay, I guess I kind of interrupted that.
Yeah.
But that's even more of a reason to go to the doctor now.
Well, yeah, that's definitely jumping ahead. So the cops are like, "Why didn't you report this car stolen?" And her response is that there's more to life than cars.
Which I agree with, but
then the boss comes in and he's kind of like standing up for Dougie a little bit, and the cops, he's like, "Why are you here? Like, you obviously found the car if you're here." And the cops tell him that his car exploded with several casualties and that it was involved with a gang that's like known for stealing cars.
And the wife is pretty on point at this point when she goes, "Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Like, we told you it might have been stolen. Car thieves were found with the car," which wasn't the case at all, but still plausible.
Yeah, she just wants to leave and go feed Sonny Jim. So the cops give her a card and like say, "Oh, like we need you to fill out some paperwork, but you don't have to do it right now," type thing. And the boss says he also wants to ask him some questions about the file, but he'll leave him alone so he can leave with his wife, and he'll talk to him tomorrow. As they're walking out, the wife kind of informs him that she had a meeting with those loan shark dudes, that she gave him what she wanted to give him, and hopefully that's the end of that. No more gambling, that type of conversation. And as they're having this, here comes Ike the Spike.
Ike the Spike, who has lost his spike. Now he's Ike the handgun. And he goes, obviously he's not, I don't think he's trained to use a gun, because like he kind of ran up on him. Like, obviously if you have a gun, you kind of just wait until the guy's there and you shoot him. You don't need to run up on him. Especially if he has like an advantage with his height to where he could like go anywhere. Like, garbage bin would have been the perfect place to snipe him from. I'm not gonna lie, because the way like it's open and he could just been like that, that would have been hilarious. But anyway, so he runs up on Dougie, and his instincts from all of his FBI training as Cooper seem to kick in, and there was a glint of hope in my eye. But yeah, he puts him to the floor, and then we get to see Mike come out of the arm.
It's the
arm,
arm,
yeah,
nerve edition.
Nerve edition. And he's like, squeeze his hand off, right? Is that
Yeah, squeeze his hand off.
And when he did pry the gun from him, it did look like he got a bit of the palm off, so that can't be
Yeah,
good.
you see them peeling like a chunk of like flesh off of the
And then we're
gun.
cut to like a newscast of it, right? Like there's all of a sudden there's like people, they're on like on the news.
Yeah, it's like
and the wife's like taking like half the credit. She's like, oh, and then you did that, and then I punched him and I kicked him, and I'm like, all right, unreliable narrator, like confirmed.
Well, she did get in there a little bit, but not all that crazy.
Maybe she was like, you better run, but she didn't.
No, she took a swing.
Did she? I must have missed that.
I thought she took a swing.
I must have missed that.
I believed her riveting tale.
I was too wrapped up with Dougie just like going Mr. C on me.
Yeah, right. Ben Horn is in the hotel, and we have a scene with him and Beverly. They're hearing a ringing in one of the rooms, and they're basically trying to track down where the ringing is coming from, but they move to where they think they hear it. It's not there anymore. They move again. It's not there. And then she shows him the keys that came in the mail, and he's like, oh, this is crazy. We switched to cards 20 years ago. And then it hits him like, oh, isn't that the room that Agent Cooper was shot in? And she's like, agent. He's like, oh, he was an FBI agent. He was here to investigate the murder of Laura Palmer.
Who's Laura Palmer? Yeah. Which I was like, you're obviously new here.
Yeah. And then he had like a look on his face, like a lot of thoughts were going through his mind, because obviously that was a complicated situation. And he basically tells her that it was a complicated situation. It's a long story, and he's not going to tell her right now.
But also interesting in that scene was they were kind of having a moment, because there was this weird hum coming from the walls.
Yeah.
Right? And it was cute how they were going to back and forth. And it definitely looked like she was kind of giving him an opening, like sending him signals.
And he was being much more behaved than the Ben Horn that we know.
Now, it was brought up later or earlier by the doctor on Skype, that Audrey was in a coma for a while. Do you think, like, his son already had some kind of mental trauma as a child?
Mm-hmm.
And this, do you think he's kind of just like mellowed out and just about family? Like, we haven't gotten to see the wife. I don't know if he's still with the wife. We should look to see if he has a wedding ring on.
Did you have a theory about the ringing at all?
Well, it was kind of, and I'm sure they get into it in the books more, Tina, so if you can confirm for us, but I always thought that the Black Lodge and the Great Northern were in the same place. Like, you know what I mean? It's weird because now we're seeing Mike show up in the Black Lodge in other places.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's right, but I don't know.
So Beverly goes home, and we see a lady who appears to be like a caretaker for...
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Joe just pointed out, I totally forgot about the White Lodge. It might be the White Lodge, the good version of it, not the Black Lodge.
Okay. So she tells Beverly, I had to give him extra medication today. He's not having... It doesn't seem like he's having the best day. And she goes in, and we see her husband Tom is very sick, and he kind of like questions her. He seems like untrusting of her, like, why were you late? And she's like, oh, it was like a work thing. And he's like, no, why were you late? And she's like, can I make you dinner? Like, what's up, And he like gets kind of serious, and he's like, what things were you doing? Like, asking specific questions, kind of insinuating that like he doesn't trust her at all.
Which, I mean, we just saw the scene. She was inviting him, it seemed.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their history is, but he didn't seem wrong in the situation, and I think it was kind of shitty that he kind of like blamed. She kind of blamed him for being sick and using that as an excuse, even though like he was only.
Yeah, Ashley says that she was being vague.
Yeah, like Doth didn't protest enough. You know what I mean? Like she was like she asked him like 4 times, "Can I make you dinner?" She didn't like change the subject or like be like, "Oh," like at a certain point, I would have been like, "Look, my boss was hearing a weird noise in the walls, and I was humoring him." Like,
Yeah.
and because like it was weird, like she couldn't even tell him like the slightest bit of honesty.
And she gets frustrated and she actually like
Yeah, like
snaps at him, like kind of chews him out, and like she's like, "Listen, I'm lucky to have this job. Don't fuck this up." Like more F words in this episode than I think any of the other episodes so far.
I think that's everyone's reaction to not seeing Cooper yet. Fuck.
And next we go to the Roadhouse, which is a scene you were talking about earlier with that really long shot where the bar is just empty and there's a dude sweeping for like a couple minutes. It was easily a couple minutes. And then he gets a phone call. He answers, and it's kind of a conversation about how this client owes him for 2 prostitutes. He wanted blondes.
Not legal prostitutes.
Yeah,
Well,
they're like, I guess like the conversation was saying that they're like 15 years old, and he's like, oh, they had valid IDs. But then it seems like he kind of knew because he says that they're straight A students.
Well, I wonder if he's unfortunately in the same mindset as what the guy who hit the kid. Remember how he was like, "Oh, babies trying to be adults," and you know what I mean. And if these kids are showing up with fake IDs, is that his reasoning behind? Oh, it's fine. I got an ID.
You're the adult though. Like
no,
you can't
but
justify that in any.
He's obviously shady. His whole family is shady. We saw that. Like, it's cool that they had the same like actor return as like a descendant too.
Yeah, and he says they're straight A students and straight A whores.
Yeah. He's not a nice person.
No,
I'm
he's
not.
not
I'm
good.
not justifying
not
his
good.
actions at all. I'm trying to understand his intent.
Then we are at the prison and we see Cooper basically escaping as promised. Everything seems to be in order, and it looks like he got out of there, man. And then we go to the double R real quick. It seems just people are just eating food, and we hear a guy like open the door and shout like, "Anybody seen Billy?" And then like the credits roll. Basically, yeah. I thought it was like a funny moment because it's so unexpected from how they usually end the show.
Yeah, because they faked me out because they were focused on the Roadhouse for so long. Like I thought half the scene was just going to be that, and then credits would start rolling, and then he wouldn't be even done sweeping yet by the time that. Like,
yeah, I thought
that's where it was going to end.
Roll the credits,
and then when they're like, "Oh, we're back at the diner," and then it's just like bump, and I'm like, "Oh, all right, they got me." Like, it's cool. Like even the format David Lynch tries to still surprise you with, which is fine by me.
I was okay with it too because I know a couple of people had complaints that they were getting a little tired of the bands, so it was nice to have like a break from that a little bit too, and it saved them time because they didn't have to. I guess like with all the time they spent sweeping, that would have been the time that they would have had the band playing.
Yeah, and it's kind of because it's kind of funny because we're like, oh man, there's a band playing there all the time, and it's kind of funny just to see like just one guy like
yeah sweeping like so much stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was cigarette butts, but then I remembered the whole cigarette scene and that there shouldn't be smoking in there. So
yeah,
I'm
it was like peanut shells. Like I don't know what he's.
It's just wine corks.
Wine corks. Bring back the first band.
Agree.
I'm with that.
I think at least for the finale, they should bring back the first, or bring back the band from the original if they're even any one of them is around, or have James sing his song from season 2.
Tom's favorite guy, James. Leaves. Yeah. Your guess is as good as ours, Cal. But
oh, might be Leaves. I don't know.
Did you want to
get somebody in here? Well, who's interested in calling in? I know Joe and Ashley and Cal, right? There's no one else in the chat.
I know that it was Corey here because I know he waited
Corey is
yesterday.
Here. I'm sorry.
And
Yes.
So
my bad.
You should put him in for sure.
So let's do Corey, Cal, and then end it with Joe and Ashley.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay.
I like those guys.
They're all good. Yeah.
Yeah, we're sorry that everyone didn't get to call in last night, but Candace was going in and I wanted to hear what you had to say. So
Honestly, the past 2 nights have been great as far as attendance, and it's getting harder to get everybody in, but not for the lack of trying. And sometimes, like Kimber said, you just get so engaged during some of these conversations that it's kind of hard to cut them off, especially for someone so opinionated, and rightfully so, as Candace. She's great.
man, I would listen to her talk
I know.
about it the whole time.
Like Kimber went to go visit some family down in Florida, and I'm like, I want to hang out with Candace. I mean, I miss Kimber. I want to hang out with Candace.
At this point, honestly, like Candace is like family. She's been my friend for damn near 15 years.
Tina says that the band Trouble was
Hello.
David Lynch's son playing the guitar that played the song Snake Eyes. That Snake Eyes song, I think it was from like one of the first couple of parts. Hey, Gal.
Hello, hello.
Son, that was real cute.
Yeah, that was cute. How's it going, buddy?
I was on the phone, so I didn't even know you were calling, and then I heard it on my thing. So.
Aw, hashtag dog's a blab.
Is Darwin there?
Darwin is there.
My parents went out to like a seminar, so he's got to hang out with me.
Aw, he's so cute.
Hey, Darwin.
I am
Who's your dog? Who's your dog, Darwin?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm glad you didn't dress him up in a ridiculous costume for his appearance.
He's just in his going out gear.
Oh, hey, doggy. Hey.
Yeah, I wasn't talking to Cal and calling him a dog. That'd just be rude.
Hey, man, what you guys do on your own time, man.
Not my own time. This is everyone's time currently.
Tom doesn't have any of
I don't have time. There was time now.
I don't judge. I do not judge.
So, what's your guys' overall thoughts on this part?
I really like the wife. Like I just like how she just like takes Dougie, like defends Dougie so much because Dougie's so innocent. Well, this Dougie is, the Dougie Cooper or whatever you want to call him. I don't know. That's like my favorite part of the episode, I think. And you guys were right about being Laura Palmer's diary, but I didn't see what it had to do with it until they said like, oh, the bad Cooper came out or whatever it was. They said, exactly you guys mentioned earlier. That was only, I guess that was the only significance of finding Laura Palmer's diary, right? Like otherwise, because that was in a dream from the future, like whatever it was that happens in the future, right?
Yeah, I think that was the only significance. It also kind of cemented Leland's guilt. You know what I mean? So it served that purpose. It reminded me us like did we see Leland in the first part? Right? He was in there. He looked great.
Yeah,
we talked about it, right?
Yeah. He was in the lodge.
He was in the lodge, right? And so I don't think anyone's actually talked about him until now, but we did see him. What about you, Corey? What do you think?
I've been watching. I haven't been on the show yet, ever on this show on Twin Peeps, but I have been enjoying the show. Except I'm really annoyed, as I said in the chat. I hate the Dougie storyline. It annoys me really, really bad because I just don't like our main character having no agency whatsoever, and people who you would expect to know better aren't going, "What's wrong with you, man?" What?
I know.
That is frustrating, especially in my line of work, because like I have to be super observant about that kind of behavior. And yeah, I get you on that. But I also love all of Dougie's reaction. Like, surely there's something wrong, but at the same time, I'm enjoying new Dougie or Cooper rediscovering things.
Mm-hmm. I did like the one where he drinks the coffee but it's not that I couldn't have stood it and been cool with it. It's gone on for like 4 or 5 episodes now. Enough.
I agree. I want to see Cooper, and I think we're starting to. I think we're finally getting there. We already saw in this episode too. It seemed like he was repeating words much easier and more frequently. So I think
the only other thing that was annoying me about going into this episode was actually addressed, which was, why did they set up this storyline about a body with no head at the beginning and never come back to it? Which they did. So, it all balances out,
Which, I mean, if you give Lynch enough time and you don't rush him, you will get a good answer for it. It's when people pressure him and he has to reveal things that it doesn't turn out well. So I'm not worried about never finding out anything. and I think they're doing it well enough to pace it so it doesn't all hit at once, like all the revelations, and that's smart.
Yeah,
But I think at the very end of that, we saw a glint in Dougie's eye, and and especially seeing all the badges, he knows what he is at heart. I just hope he keeps his like supernatural like abilities, because this is
Also,
cool now that he's like
the disarming technique and all that. Like, they did come back to him. Like, he was very quick about that. It's not like he delayed. It was like right away, like muscle memory kind of thing. So
yeah, so he's in there.
Back. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely in there, and I just I mean, it's like I feel like he's been jet lagged for 25 years. You know what I mean? And he's just trying to like readjust to like he's obviously been like living in some kind of different frequency. Like I don't want to like try to use science to explain it because there is none to support it. But
He's out of phase.
It seems very like synthetic, but yet spiritual in some way, and it's really cool. Like that's how American Gods should feel. And it's weird that.
By the way, just because I didn't get it, American Gods was awesome. I think I'm enjoying American Gods more as it goes along, simply because the universe they're building. But both of these shows have Jeremy Davies in them.
Yep.
And Jeremy Davies, I was thinking in American Gods, I'm like the only thing they need for this show now is Jeremy Davies. and there he was. I was like, okay, somebody was thinking the same as me.
He was your savior.
Literally.
Not mine.
Wait, but we still haven't figured out what that like phantom thing that came out was, right? That killed the 2 people? Or you think that's the coal miner guy?
There has been no reference to that since, but I mean, it could very well be the way it was presented. It was like, I think it's the arm's doppelganger, the right arm, if you will, or is it the left arm? I don't know, man. Everyone has like aliases and stuff.
Wait, and did you also notice that when that I forgot the army woman's name, what her name was, but the one who's looking into the Major Briggs body, when she was walking through the hall, wasn't it that coal miner guy behind her, or was that not him?
That's what I thought too. That's why I wanted to. I wanted to see a closer look of him because I couldn't tell if he had like he definitely was like.
He looked dirty.
But I wanted to see if he had like the soot painted on him, like the other one.
Her name is Lieutenant Knox.
Knox.
Yeah, Lieutenant Knox. Yeah. Maybe Tina will know, since she wrote the episode.
She wrote the episode.
She wrote everything.
Did you like it, Cal?
The episode, yeah. I mean, it's getting slow again, but at least we have 18 episodes, so I guess you got to fill all that. But that's how Lynch is. Like, I think it's how he originally wanted to do it, with not giving away the ending too fast. So kind of what ruined the original show. So they're gonna try and draw it out and just like. I just want more like supernatural stuff now, kind of. Like what you were saying earlier. One of you guys said that. I think.
I'm sure we'll have another weird one soon. Because when he makes them weird, man, they get pretty weird.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to like another one like that.
But I know. Cooper came out of that weird glass box, but I hope we don't just forget about that now that now that we saw that it. I hope it's still around.
Don't forget about anything.
He's just taking his time, I think, man. Like we said, there's a lot of
episodes
left.
I do too.
We're not even halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
See, I read it as 8 episodes. I didn't realize there were 18, actually.
18, yep.
I think there's a break between 8 and 9. I think that's what it is.
That might be 4th of July weekend or something, maybe. They might be doing that. The break.
Yeah, for sure.
Would make sense.
Did you guys
if you read what Tina said in the chat, check out what Tina said in the chat. I don't know if you want to put on, actually say it out loud, but about the guy Tom and I were talking about in the hospital, walking behind Lieutenant Knox.
The coal miner?
It might be the guy from the cell next to Bill Hastings and the Woodsman farm.
I think that's what Cal and me mean by the coal miner, right? The guy in the cell by Matthew Willard.
Yeah.
So there's something. We gotta figure out who that guy is. We don't know yet. He's very
he's
sinister.
There's that dude in jail too.
That's the guy they're talking about. We're thinking it's the same guy. Corey.
Gillum? Oh, okay. Fair enough.
It seems like there's a lot of storylines going on, but I have a strong feeling that they're going to merge, and a lot of them are going to merge into being one storyline. It's just not that far yet. Because we haven't seen Matthew Lillard in a while. There are a lot of storylines, and I think they're going to keep adding more.
Lillard. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, and like we have the Amanda Seyfried stuff that they kind of like dropped hints about. I think that'll be a plot line at some point as well too. But I think they're still establishing the story at this point because it is pretty early on.
I have a question for you guys. Do you think the appearances by like the Ben Horn's brother or whoever, I forgot his name, and like
Jerry.
Nate
Jerry.
and all those was just like for nostalgia, or do you think they're gonna actually find a purpose back in the story?
Oh, I think they'll have a purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can't remember Ben's brother's name, it's Ben and Jerry.
Oh,
Like
okay.
the ice.
And that's
Yeah.
a doc. Wasn't he a doctor too or something? The one with the weird different colored glasses, right?
That's Jacoby.
Yeah.
But they're not related.
Oh, never mind. Okay, I got confused. Okay, wait, who was the one doing the infomercial with the golden shovel?
That's Jacoby. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, Jacoby and Jerry do kind of have a similar vibe to them.
They're both high.
Okay.
I think it
I
all
think-
rolling
think
up in Peaks, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming through and
His brother's a
sharing
lawyer.
your. Oh yeah, he was a lawyer. That's right. He was hired. Thanks for coming through and joining us for the conversation. Do you want to plug your most recent stuff? And Cal, I know I got to post your report card.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty much it. And then next week on Twin Peeps, I'll be revealing the third thing of the Night's box. So
Nice.
Ooh. Quick reminder to people in the chat who may have missed the first two reveals. It was a Jon Snow pop vinyl, I believe, and I don't remember the exact wording, but it was a Brienne action figure.
Yeah.
the
Brian-
Legacy Collection Funko Legacy Collection figure.
Yeah,
Donated by
they're
you
nice.
guys.
Pretty cool. And yeah, I know that a couple people only watch this show and don't check out the others, so I'm going to say that if you guys like Game of Thrones, we do a Game of Thrones recap coming out really soon. We're going to drop, we're going to do like a recap of last season the week before the new episodes start. And if you haven't seen that trailer that came out today, check it out. It is awesome.
And I'm going to get to Corey's plug in a second, but I do want to announce what the next OSP is. Space Opera is going to be probably late July because we want to give some time for between giveaways, and we have a whole Space Opera themed giveaway, and we are currently doing the channel giveaway. I don't think we have anything to show off anymore. We already showed off all the prizes.
Yeah,
we're going to make a video
doing
soon.
the Space Opera ones yet.
No, we're not. But next episode, we're thinking about doing a celebration of Spider-Man, and I think he's had enough material that we can go through. If you don't like that idea, tell me on Twitter and suggest another one, and I can change it. But I'm always up to new ideas. I just think the timing would be right. It's right before the movie. I was also playing with dance movies because it's homecoming. I don't know.
Dance movies.
Or maybe football movies. I don't know. I don't watch football movies. I saw Rudy once. Anyway, Corey, what do you got to plug?
As usual, I'm doing the tech podcast with my partner Mac Poole. This week, I'm editing the one with Kimber on it, so that'll be up this week. And next week, I'm recording with Ashley, so that'll be fun. Ashley was amazingly fun the first time. So if you want to check us out on SoundCloud at Alien Body. And if you want to tweet the show, it's at Tech Podcast 1.
And you cut out a little bit there in the beginning. It's the Alien Body Parts on SoundCloud is what you want to search for. All the guests who have content, you can find their projects on our website, www.oddshapechannel.com. Just look for guest content and even look guest spots where we show up in other people's videos. Most recently, the Wonder Woman review from Ashley and Joe, who are going to be up next. I am still the king of plugs. Thanks again, guys, for coming through.
All hail the king, man.
Until
Don't
next
let
time.
Morgan do it. What was that?
He's just posing like that.
Oh no!
Next time. I'm going back to the
Until
lodge.
Oh,
Oh, there he goes. All right, see you guys.
oh, Darwin's in there, and he's
We'll
out.
get Ashley and Joe.
Am I calling Joe? That's who I usually call, so that's what I'm going to send a message to. I forgot to put a keyboard over here. I've just been stretching like a fool. Still doing it. How are we doing on time? All right, we got a little bit more.
Yeah, that's why it's good that we start at 8
Yeah.
for this one.
I just know that other people watch other shows on the other days, so we can't really. Oh wow, what's going on over here?
How's it going, guys?
Hello.
Hi,
This is-
kitty.
This is Beatrice.
BH, is that the new edition?
That is
Yes.
the new edition.
Oh, hi,
So
baby.
cute.
Hi. Meow.
Probably.
Oh, hi.
Tiblet just walked by, and she's not a fan of the other cats yet.
Oh, I thought she wasn't a fan of me. I was deeply hurt.
There's
No,
another
it's-
Caught in the
the
crossfire,
collection.
guys.
Well, I just figured out, by the way, I just want to thank all of our subscribers. You guys are awesome because you get to see what our videos are on our YouTube page. I just looked at our YouTube page from the non-subscriber point of view, and there was nothing listed. So I'm fixing that. And thanks, because all our reviews are pretty much from our subscribers then. So thank you so much.
Nice.
YouTube's weird, man.
Yeah, I saw the cat hiss just now. Fun fact, Mavis has never hissed
Never.
at anything or anyone. It's the weirdest thing.
Well, I saw her do it to Joe when his back was turned.
No, she never has. It's weird.
Um,
What'd you guys think?
the episode is pretty good.
This
I
is
enjoyed
my
it.
favorite one so far. To me, it kind of felt like a classic Twin Peaks episode, but still like not going into like an overly corny area. But just even with like focusing on some of the newer characters, it just something about
Oh no.
her the first time.
Sorry, Ash. Oh no.
Stop doing
Ashley.
that.
Oh no. Oh no.
Wait,
Hold on.
wait.
Technical difficulties. If you saw
no.
our fan art, you would have known that some kind of technical difficulty would have happened.
Tom Nicole difficulties.
I cut you off, Ashley. I'm sorry.
Start
no.
over. He ruined it.
Okay. That's fine. So yeah, this is my favorite episode so far. It felt like it was a classic Twin Peaks episode. Even though we still got to focus with a lot of the newer characters, I felt there was like a good enough balance between like the old and the new, where it just kind of felt like it was back in the early days. So I really like that aspect.
Yeah, I agree with you. It wasn't too heavy on the Lynchian stuff, which is what I kind of like about this new series. But it did have, it did remind me that Frost is still involved in some way.
Yeah,
For sure.
And it got weird at the end.
it did.
It did, especially when they lingered on the bar and the guy sweeping for so long. I'm like, where's this going?
Ashley's comment during the episode was he would do better if he had a push broom.
That was
Yeah.
hilarious to me. I don't know what it is. Like,
So
that
he's
was just
trolling.
hilarious to me.
Like, I agree, though. Like, I was sitting there watching him and be like, man, I could sweep so much faster than
On the
this.
rewatch,
Like,
that part might get a little like the, but like for the first time, that cracked me up. I thought that was the funniest moment of the whole.
There's definitely like a level of art to it. Like I can watch that and go like, this is like really fascinating. It's just like watching an old film of like a clown play with a hula hoop for 5 minutes or something like that. It's just some weird, entrancing. I don't know. It's artistic.
Tina also thinks the guy needed a push broom, and Cal thinks
Right.
it's about Joe pulling out some chloroform. So watch out, Tom.
is that what,
Hello,
is that
Tom.
what the dynamic cinematography
Tom.
is about? Trying to threaten me with your shaky cam?
No, I'm using my phone and holding it.
I figured. It would have been a little awkward if he was holding a laptop. Like,
Guys, we gotta wrap this up.
trying
I
to do.
even said last time, like, I can't wait for Cooper to get be Cooper again. But I'm at least happy we got the little awesome throw to the ground scene where he took down Ike the Spike, where Duper took down Ike the Spike. It was pretty impressive. But Ike got away, and that's not cool.
Not all of them.
Yeah, that gross part with his hand.
Yeah,
If his DNA's on file, they're definitely going to find him.
it's fair. It's fair.
He's.
I was gonna say.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the Skype call was kind of funny. The part that I found most awkward about it was the Bond villain-esque rising out of the desk.
I loved it.
monitor.
I loved it.
See, for me, it was just like the Twin Peaks Sheriff's Department can't afford like a decent radio for their CBs, and they can't afford really good upgrades for their vehicles, but they can afford to build this custom desk with a monitor that rises out of it.
Yeah, but honestly, if you know a good craftsman, how hard is it to like rig a pulley system to just rise a monitor into it like out of the desk? It's not the hardest thing in the world.
In Twin Peaks.
Dr. Jacoby runs his own this. He does this.
Shovel.
And he's more successful. He sells gold paint shovels. These people have talent in this town.
Not to be outdone. Here's Tiblet.
Yeah, right. But but in general, did the episode just end, or did we accidentally
No,
back
I
out of
think
it?
Tiblet probably.
Okay,
hit
we had it up on the
Oh,
screen, so it threw me off.
Sabotage.
You're still on.
Mess it up.
But in general, I just really love the episode, all in all.
Oh, that's funny. Cal's like, I wonder what would have happened if Lucy saw that desk Skype conversation.
Nice.
That would have been great.
So
If she
Oh
saw
no, it wasn't.
if
I just said the same thing. You said that. You said imagine if Lucy saw that while we were
Yeah.
watching it.
and then like if she saw the computer come out of the desk and everything,
Sure.
it would break her.
considering she can't even handle cell phones.
But I just
It
thought it
might,
was a
it might be
weird.
easier for her when seeing somebody at some place.
Yeah.
But it would mess her up if like
If they walked
somebody
in,
used the green
yeah.
screen and like, oh, I'm at the river fishing, and then stepped out. That would, I think, would totally mess with her if she could see that.
I
hope
want
that
to
she's
have.
not- It would be terrible if she was around like two Coopers at the same time.
Oh, that might come.
I wanted to throw out like two things. I would love a scene where Lucy's dealing with like a Snapchat filter and like not understanding how Andy looks like a cat or something like that.
Aw, cute.
And then the other thing was I was actually really impressed with the scene with Andy because it was like Andy was hyper competent dealing with that one dude, the guy he was trying to set up the meeting with.
Yeah.
I mean, he was still being Andy, but he was like very serious, maintaining the direct, like he didn't seem like goofy. Like
Yeah.
I like that, like seeing Andy grown up a little.
I think being a dad definitely gave him a bit more of a like a not chip on the shoulder, but more of like a weight. Like he has like more responsibility, and he doesn't have
Definitely
time.
gave him more weight.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe not on his shoulders.
Wally is what I'm thinking.
For
Yeah.
what?
Bring back Wally.
Totally.
If he
For what? My entertainment. That's
did-
for
but,
what?
like, I want to see him interact with Cooper, that's for sure. But up until then, I don't know who else I want him to talk to.
Everyone. The Wally show.
Yeah, that's a,
He's just hanging out in the diner all day writing his script for some random movie.
yeah. Well, saying he's writing a script, but talking to everyone
Yeah.
who's at the diner.
He's
instead.
not even written one page.
Nice.
But going back to the whole Skype thing for a moment, that just felt like the weirdest bit of product placement. That to me, like Al said, it makes sense because like they have like the premium network money. Like why would they need to do this product placement-y thing with the logo? And I don't know, it just felt out of place. But I mean, I wasn't like mad at it. It was just interesting, a curious choice.
It may have been he may have not been able to film or something like that. So maybe they had to go out and like film him at location or something like that.
Yeah, but he didn't.
I think
didn't have a conversation that needed to see each other like that. That was my biggest complaint
what-
about it. It's not like he showed him anything on the Skype call. Like they could have done it on the phone.
Yeah, but I think
Yeah.
where our argument with we never get to hear.
But we would have heard his voice at least.
And we
Because the way they
but-
did it with the log lady, like they filmed her like on
Yeah.
like whatever set talking on the phone the regular way. So
If this didn't happen, I wouldn't have seen that cool deck. So don't take this away from me.
It was
I'm gonna
just to
take-
see the desk.
That desk though.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, at least we got to saw him in some way. And maybe they weren't. Maybe they actually recorded a Skype call for all we know. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like maybe. I don't know. Either way, I think it would have been. It's not. I think it would have been worse if they tried to make up a. Like, oh, it's Gripe, the
yeah,
ground.
Yeah.
based. You know what I mean? Like that would
Like,
have been a little bit.
There's a show called The IT Crowd that does that with other stuff. Like instead of Facebook, it's Friend Face, and instead of Twitter, it's Chitter. And things like
But
that.
they're doing it to make fun of those products, so
Yeah.
it's commentary. Where here, that would just be very awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, well-
we know IT crowds.
Yeah, everything
Joe, come
catches on
on.
fire on that show, though. So I
I'm
don't know
just
if we should trust it.
saying.
For the the people in the audience that may not be as cool as all of us.
Cough, Corey, cough. No, I'm just playing, Corey.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Just watch the IT crowd. It's good. That's what
It's
It
the
is.
best.
British
It's the best
version
nerd
of
show.
IT Crowd.
Corey likes it. I see him in the chat.
Oh, awesome.
Good.
You never know who
there
knows
anything-
IT crowd. Such a neat
Is there
show.
anything else you guys want to discuss about this episode? Anything?
Well, I have something Twin Peaks related that I think we brought up on OSP that Cal didn't get to see, but you said Cal would want to see. And
Yes.
we have some stuff we're going to ship to you guys so you can use in giveaways, and they are Twin Peaks related. And 1 second, I'm just gonna do that. Not you,
We'll make
Tip.
these public.
We got some pop.
Oh, Bob, that's who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have some Twin Peaks pops we're gonna send. We have the Giant, and we got Leland over here. Ship those to you guys here this week, and then you guys can use them in giveaways. So thought
Tom
that'd be
is
kind of
still
cool.
thinking about stealing.
No,
it. Look at this
no.
face.
I would never do that.
Uh huh. Well, we're gonna ship them to you. How you decide to use them is up to you.
Now they know they're out there in the universe. No, Tina, we're all poor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We just all broke the bank going to Philly. So
it's gonna set us back like a year or two.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
See you in 5 years at the Philly
Okay.
reunion.
We're all poor except for Cal's parents.
No, yeah, right.
So, but other than that, yeah, that's all Twin Peaks stuff that I got. I'm excited. I still love the show. I think this has been, compared to American Gods, to me, this has been a stronger show to keep up with.
Definitely.
Cal's trying to cover my tracks. Yeah, for sure. I agree. I gotta get ready for work soon.
It's true.
Well, then we will let you guys go. Should we plug our things real quick?
Yeah, are you
No,
guys
I mean-
playing Wolf Among Us tonight?
We are. We're going to continue with part 4 of Wolf Among Us after the show, and then we have part 5 tomorrow, and then we'll move on to some other game. We may not jump straight into another Telltale, but we'll be playing something, and then we'll go to another Telltale afterwards.
Game of Thrones.
I mean, if you ever want to play Little Big Planet 3 online, we got it.
It's true.
But then, like, to stream it, I have to get the right kind of capture material.
Oh yeah, that, and it's because it's
Yeah,
just-
that would be some logistical stuff, but just hanging out.
Yeah,
having
that's
fun,
different. Yeah, no, that's fine.
That's different. Definitely
I'm
up for
just
that.
saying. We've been talking about playing Little Big Planet.
I know.
forever.
And I'm gonna work on my painting I started for you guys while I watch the show tonight.
Yeah.
So-
Exciting.
That looks it looks really
I'm
good
gonna
so
live tweet
far.
her painting.
What, Ashley?
It
What
looks
was that?
it looks really good so far. I'm excited to see the
thanks,
finished
buddy.
product.
Yeah, send that your guys' way ASAP.
And I'd love to thank you for our fan art that you donated to the channel. That is amazing. I can't wait to put it on a t-shirt.
Are you really gonna put that on a shirt?
He could.
I-
He could.
I will.
Wow, my little Mavis tonight.
That'll be the giveaway t-shirt.
There we go.
Like a child drew this. The child was 33 years old.
No, the back will say an adult drew this.
Corey was asking how he can watch you guys play that game.
You can go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, or just watch for the video to pop up. I'll also be sharing links in I'll be sharing links in Twitter, Facebook, all appropriate places. I have already shared one link, just giving people a heads up, but the link will go out for the actual play later on tonight.
Cool. Sweet.
Yeah.
We'll be
Nice.
there. All right. Do you want to?
Do a thing. Yeah, we'll be back next week. I didn't get a chance to look up the name of the next episode, but I'll probably tweet it at you. Again, if you don't want us to do a Spider-Man episode, tell us why not, and what we should do instead on Twitter at OddShapePanel or
at Kimberbatch_OSP.
And that's a wrap. So thanks, guys. Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
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 See you soon, Ashley and Joe.
And thank you, everyone in the chat. Goodbye.